And we're off to the races. I'm going to put my phone right here so I can keep track of time properly. Because usually I don't. Okay, it's 3:15. Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, we have
Carolina,
Melania.
Melania, or Amber Heard.
Oh no, definitely not Amber Heard. Don't be Amber Heard. I don't think
Oh
anybody
no.
wants to be Amber Heard right now.
Well, I don't shit on that, but.
Yeah, let's not shit on the bed, literally. Oh.
or Aqua Woman.
Yeah. Wait, what is her name? That character's name, actually.
I have no idea. I've never seen that.
Okay, yeah, it's fine. We'll let you be Melania for now.
Okay.
But you remember, we spent so much time shooting this video. What is it, like 2 hours?
No, even more because we started at Musica, doing the.
Yeah.
We were preparing, and then
Yeah.
we actually go there probably the whole night.
It's so tragic. So we were shooting one of the short skits for AK68 TV, and it was the Elden Ring skit, and she was playing Melania, as you can see. She has the Melania hair, and we have like the Spartan helmet and swords and the red cape. Like, it was awesome. And then someone took the phone in which we did the recordings and where we do the editing, and they asked another team member, they're like, hey, do we have anything important in this phone? This is when we started recording on the secondary phone. And they're like, no. They're like, okay, because I need to reset it to set up the TikTok account or something. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. And they reset the phone and wiped out all of the footage. All of it.
But it was fun.
It was fun. It was a fun recording.
And I have the best clip on my phone.
You do?
Yeah, with the one you comparing two of it.
Oh, that's pretty
original one and
dope. Oh, wait, do you have it on you right now?
Yeah.
Hey, pull it up. See, so we don't have the video. At least we have a little clip so you can get an idea of what could have been. So, I know that actually, at this point in time, we have not seen Karo in one of the AK68 TV videos, but believe me, she will be. Expect her and expect greatness. But yeah, it was one of the first videos we were shooting. So Elden Ring recently came out and it was a really popular thing, and Melania whooping everybody's butt. So I was going to basically cosplay Let Me Solo Her with the pot on the head and like basically in underwear and swords, and she was cosplaying Melania. And I'm gonna hold off on the rest of the story because we might still reshoot it later on if we find an opportunity.
Only when I have my red.
More red, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't want to shoot it in the same place we shot it
no.
last time. I don't think it was that good.
I think I couldn't find it, but I have something else.
Oh no, we lost the
I
footage.
couldn't find a
forever.
comparison of that one, but I have this one.
Okay, let's see.
Wait.
We'll show you in a second. Don't move. This is worth seeing. Is that a picture or a video?
It's a video, but it's taking a while because I upload it on iCloud.
Oh, so it has to like re-download.
Actually, maybe you can later just edit on the video.
Okay, so let's just toss it in there later on. You can see what that short clip looked like. It was kind of cool. It was really cool, you gotta admit. Like, we had a costume, we had freaking the lighting guy, we had everything. We had the camera work.
We have the flip-flop.
We have the flip-flops.
With me wearing the flip-flop.
Melania wears flip-flops, it's fine. I think she does.
Really?
I don't know I think she's barefoot,
Yeah.
actually. So you
Then
don't
why
even
the
need-
hell Ame forced me to wear that high heel?
I don't know.
It was painful.
I don't know. I don't know. And it was like, how many sizes smaller?
3.
Oh my goodness.
I have to squeeze my big feet into that tiny, tiny space.
Oh man, that was terrible. Okay, cool. So today we're gonna talk a little bit about VTubers and VTubing and a bit about Karo's career and her background and what she's doing. So what's one thing that we all have in common, right? One thing that we all have in common, everybody that works on the AK68 videos and the Musica videos, is that in one way or another, we do something in entertainment or performance. Of course, right? How else are we going to do these videos? With the exception of Angela. She's actually very new to this. So Ame is a dancer, a theatrical dancer. I was also a dancer and I went to school for theater, and you're a VTuber. So it's like, okay, you've already been acquainted to interacting with the audience and being a character, right? Playing the role. And, he's always playing a role. This guy, he's practically a viral, not practically, he's a viral TikToker here. So we're just working on the foreign aspect. So can you give us a bit of a breakdown? What is a VTuber?
So I think VTuber is just like you're not showing on a screen with yourself. You put in a alternate character. It's created by you, however you like. But you be the voice or you be the action
Right.
of this person, of this character
So
in
in
front of
terms
the
of
screen.
action, what do you mean by the actions? I need to adjust this.
In terms of action, it's like, I mean, it's more like how you move and how you behave online, and however people see you is all by you. It's just not your face. It's
It's an anime.
It's an anime.
Yeah.
It's an anime or your dream, or some
The waifu, your dream girl.
that you want to show to people. So, I don't know. That's VTuber.
Okay, so I didn't know what a VTuber was until she started working as a VTuber. But here's the thing, we cannot tell you which VTuber she is. So, unfortunately, no. It's actually her real job. It's her salaried job to be a VTuber. And terms of conditions are we do not reveal who the actual VTuber is. But she's really pretty, right? So even if you saw the VTuber, you're like, that's one thing.
I could have been it.
You could have just been yourself, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, a lot of people expect that if you are playing the role of a VTuber or a character where you don't show your face or your body, etc., it's because you're like really ugly or something like that.
No.
I'm not judging. Hey, I'm ugly too, okay? It's all right. Or at least I was ugly when I was growing up. I don't know. But the point is, like, people are very judgy in general. They're like, oh, if you don't show yourself, it's because you have something to hide, so you play as a VTuber. But actually, I looked into this, and the VTubers that we know that have actually revealed themselves are very, very pretty.
Yeah.
Most of them. Some of them are guys. So that's a surprise. There's like a couple of them. They're very popular, and they're actually guys. But yeah, actually, most of the VTubers that I've seen that are really popular are very, very good looking, like really pretty girls. And it's like, that was very unexpected. You don't even need to play the VTube character. But what do you think is the appeal, right? What is the difference? Like, okay, so if you have a girl who's like, for the appearance of like a cosplayer anime, you can play that no problem. But instead of doing that costume work or whatever, you do the VTube, you do the digital version. So what do you think is the reason for that?
I think the reason for that because, well, personally speaking, I don't want to be a YouTuber because I don't like to judge it from outside, that people can be so judgy about my look. But if I use the VTuber, then I can actually get involved in that role that I actually like, and it's more like a...
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's more like a habit. First of all, I don't want the criticism from outside about my appearance. And second of all, I enjoy being as that role. It's more like my second ego.
Right. Your alter ego, right?
Yeah, my alter ego.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then you can actually get involved with this background story maybe, or how the way that anime characters should act, like, you know, being cute or being like sassy.
And you can do it without being cringe and weird because you're
Yeah.
playing the role of the character.
Yeah.
You're not being yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And because I know some of the people, they can be boring in real life,
Right.
but when they get to play in an alter ego,
Right. They
they
have
get
their
excited.
costume on. Right?
Yeah. So that's what actually excites them. So I think that's the reason for people choose to be a VTuber.
That makes sense. I think, yeah, actually, in a time where a lot of people, like a lot of content creators or YouTube content creators, for example, are really concerned about like their privacy, and they're concerned about like people actually, yes, judging either their appearance or things they say, etc., etc. On YouTube or other platforms, if they're playing a character or a VTube character, etc., they have less to worry about because people are relating their content to that character, not to the individual, right? Not to the person itself. So then I imagine this means that they can feel a little more free to be themselves in their free time, but also play the role of their character when it's time to be on screen, right? They don't have as much stress worrying about having creepy people stalking them or following them somewhere. And this applies to everybody, like guys or girls. There's a really popular, I don't know if he's a YouTuber, but there's a really popular like guy on social media. It might be YouTube, it could be TikTok, but I think it's YouTube or Twitch. He's called Corpse Husband. I've seen things about him a few times on like the Philip DeFranco and whatever. And Corpse Husband, you never actually see him or see what he looks like or hear his voice. So he just has the character on the screen, is mostly the image of the character, and he has like a voice transformer, so he sounds like this all the time. But apparently he's really popular, and people really like him, and they like his content. But you also find that, like on Twitter, people would post some pictures or something of some guys, and they say, oh, this is what he really looks like, or whatever, and say, oh yeah, look, this is why he hides behind the character, look how ugly he is, whatever. But even if it is him, or if it's not him, I think that's not the important part. I think the important part that I took from that was that people will go out of their way to take the image of a random person and put it on Twitter and try to put it on blast and judge them about, oh, this person's ugly or whatever the hell. I'm like, that's a real person, dude. Like, this guy probably has nothing to do with those videos or any of the content, but you're over here blasting his appearance on Twitter. He has no idea what's going on or why, you know? So I think, yeah, it does make sense. Like, if you can stay behind a character and you can play that role and still have your privacy as an individual, it's probably for the best for a lot of people. But me, I'm very direct and very aggressive in real life. So I have like no fear when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I'm okay being my own persona. It's kind of, I feel a little more free actually for myself when I can be on camera as myself. But I do understand that appeal of being behind the VTube character. That's cool. So how has it been for you? What do you think about this experience so far?
Because my character is not like any other anime character. It's more like a
it's a cyberpunkish
3D virtual human.
We can't say too much, right?
Okay,
We can't describe
sorry.
too much of it.
I'm sorry.
But it's a cyber VTuber. Let's say that.
It's more dynamic than the usual VTuber.
And actually it has like different settings as well. You've shown me different concept art of the character, and it's not just one format. It has like several different ones. So I thought it was really interesting. But yeah, so what has been your experience with this so far, and how has like the audience behaved from time to time? Like,
it was interesting because I really liked the background story, and it means like I'm from the future, like a sci-fi fiction background story.
Yeah.
I can't say too much. But as you know, the audience, they can always, even though you're not being there as an individual, as a human yourself, people can still be critical about your character appearances.
Yeah.
Like, again, I can't say too much, but people will criticize the haircut of my character, or the shape, or boobs not big enough.
Oh my goodness.
Blah blah blah. But I guess that kind of comments always exist, and you can't really control it. All you can do is just ignore.
So what do you do when people make those kind of comments, though?
I ignore them.
You just ignore them altogether.
It's like, one of them want me to have a bigger boob. The other one is like, it's big enough. So it's like, well, I can't satisfy everyone, right? So,
oh my goodness.
what you can do about negative comments is that you really just ignore them. Just be yourself.
Yeah. Some people, they will just ride the wave. They're like, you start making negative comments, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to find a way to turn this around on you. But it takes practice to be able to do that. You got to be comedian level to be able to be like, oh, okay, let's play around with this, you know.
And my setting is supposed to be a kind person.
Right, you're a kind VTuber. So the negative comments, you can't pay too much attention to them, right? Cool. So this is a little, I think it's a little bit different from what most VTubers started off with, because you started to be a VTuber as a job directly, right? It's not like you started a project and worked on it. It's like it's already facilitated. So this project is somewhat organized. I say somewhat for a reason. Is somewhat pre-organized, and they put you into the role because they believe, oh yeah, you fit this character's description as yourself in a way, so they find you to be suitable to play this role, right? So what do you think? Do you think like, would that be an advantage for you? I mean, it's an advantage in terms of salary, of course, because you get paid up front, thankfully. But what if you had the alternative option? What if you were starting your own channel as a VTuber? Do you think like that there would be some benefits to that, or how would you compare the two?
If I'm gonna start my own VTuber project, first of all, I'm definitely gonna change the look, the appearances, because that was my company gave it to me. But second of all, I wouldn't think about too much about money, because I didn't aim for getting more money from this project. So I wouldn't be so desperate to make it like really big and the followers to like me. First of all, I would definitely insist just being myself or just being the character, and to draw, if my followers like me, they like me, and gradually I will have more followers, and just take step by step, instead of being in a company's project where your boss really wants you to, succeed and bring a lot of money in.
Right, right.
So that would be different if I'm gonna start my own, and definitely create a more interesting background story.
Like, we need to modify everything, guys.
Yeah.
Literally everything. Yeah. When I was talking to some, I briefly touched on this before, and we were like, oh, one thing that we were very critical about the media companies is that they hire you to do one thing, but then they just start stacking on jobs and responsibilities on top of it.
Yeah.
So what do you feel about that so far? Now we can ask you personally and not just secondhand.
I mean, if I am the boss of a company, or the company runner, or the manager or something, I definitely want just one person can do multitask, can do different job of different position. Of course,
because you could save money, right?
Yes, because I could only need to pay one person. So, of course, I would try to. Can you do this, do that, and just ask them to do this thing that's out of their
skill set
or responsibility. But as someone who actually worked for them, and someone being asked to do that many tasks, and I was really, well, I wouldn't say I'm happy about it. Of course, it helped me. I can learn from trying different things out, even though I'm really not professional on this. I can still learn some experiences from it, like actually have the idea, like I will actually think about what would I do if I need to do this. Like at least I will have a very starter idea about how am I going to do it. But then I'm not professional, so it would take a long time for me to actually make it work, especially when I have been put on so many different tasks, like editing, setting up the my live stream room, setting up all the equipment, and also doing the script. I don't mind doing that, actually. It's a little bit stressful, to be honest. Even though I can learn from it, and also I always concerned about if I will be good enough to make everything work.
Right.
And because you know that you always get to be blamed whatever the result come out.
Right, right.
So you always worry about that. And definitely one person is not enough when you're trying to make a project work, where it has to be a whole team to support. So this is too much. At least they gotta pay me like 3 times more.
Oh my goodness, this is what some said. Pay me like 3 times more, then we'll talk.
About, yeah.
Right? Well, even then, I feel like it might not be worth it. And the reason I say that is because it seems like, to me, as like a person who has to do the project himself as well, and when I started shooting AK-68 and doing the scripts, I have to figure everything out myself because they don't have that connection to like American culture or Western culture to pick the topics, to write the scripts, to make certain punchlines or whatever in the story. And one of the things that really stands out is, like I said before, it's like every time I'm like, oh, I have a script idea, check it out. I will tell them the whole script, and they're just like, okay, and then? And they never actually get the punchline. And I was like, this is why I write the scripts. Because if you guys do it, then the American audience is not going to understand anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be like, why is this funny? And then if I do it, the Chinese audience is like, why is this funny? However, something very interesting happened recently. You know, we started posting on WeChat channels. And let me check. We have a special guest who just walked in a moment ago. You guys may remember this very special guest.
Was it you calling me earlier?
Hello, background guest. We can hear you. It's okay.
Hello.
So, Amelis, she has joined us. She's in the background, so maybe she can pitch in a few things here and there. So, as I was saying about the channel, we have, okay, as of today, 96,000 views.
Mm-hmm.
On Amelis' channel video. 96,000. And I said, when we were doing the video, I said, if we can get 100,000 views in one video, we need to make something. We need to celebrate somehow. We got to make like a challenge. Somebody has to write something in the comments. If you get 100,000, you need to do this. Like, we have to come up with something because that's something that I think we should be celebrating. Like, that's amazing. And it was totally unexpected. But there is a subtle difference. And that difference, there's a key difference here, is that posting on WeChat channels, all the foreigners and all the Westerners that live here are on WeChat.
Yeah.
Because we use that for everything. That's like to pay bills, to communicate with your friends, your family, people from the company, whatever it is you do, you can use WeChat because it's like a big super app. And then what happens is when we post these same videos on TikTok, so Chinese TikTok, we don't get any traffic, no traction. But when we post it on WeChat, they blow up fast. And so the reason is in part because you have a lot of Westerners throughout the whole country who actually like, they don't have a lot of content otherwise in China because everything is in Chinese. But then they see our content is in English and it's made for Western audiences. They're like, oh, that's pretty cool. Let me follow this channel. Let me share. And then we have that niche audience, right? We don't have the Chinese audience, right? We can't target general Chinese audience right now. But we have that niche foreign or Western audience or Chinese folks or local folks that have traveled abroad or lived abroad, actually, like you. And so you have this more familiarity with what these jokes are, what these skits mean, and they're actually funny or interesting to you. But to most regular people, they're not. So, hey, this might work.
But also like, because in China, the foreigner community is limited. So
Yeah.
once you start posting that thing, the videos in English content, it's just gonna spread very fast.
Yeah.
Because people know each other. And one thing about a WeChat channel is that you can see what kind of video that your friends like.
Yes,
And it will
that's
show
pretty
on
cool.
the top.
Yeah, it'll come up
And-
as a notification. Oh, your friends like this. They
Yeah,
check,
that's very much beneficial for
Yeah.
the videos,
Mhm.
especially when it puts on a WeChat channel.
I think so too. You know, we actually had a person for the last party that we did a pride party. Thank you, Rebecca. So the last party that we did, we actually had somebody come from Huizhou because they saw our videos. They saw the skits and they're practicing English and they're learning or whatever. But they saw our videos and they watched it, thought it was interesting, and most of those videos that we put on the channel were from the bar itself. And so they're like, oh, dude, you guys have an event going on. Can I go over there and check it out? I was like, yeah, of course. So actually, it inadvertently also promotes the Shisha Lounge.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, the videos are not about the lounge. We're not promoting the lounge at all, but they take place there. So it actually brings a certain type of attention, a very good attention to the bar, getting some new people to know the place. which is, I think, is pretty cool. That's a pretty nice advantage. So hopefully when we cross the 100,000, we have something we can do to celebrate. Maybe I'll make more pizza. We got 100,000 views. Let's make 100,000 pizzas.
Or make some dark
Look at her
pizza.
face.
You know, like you put some wasabi on the pizza, and whoever eat that got like
Wasabi on the pizza?
no, he hate that.
It's just very hard. Like, she wants wasabi in the pizza.
Why do you want wasabi?
No,
on
but
the
it's like a
pizza?
challenge. Like a challenge. Who ate that
Ah.
can won like $100 or something.
I don't have $100.
$100.
Okay, 100 yuan. We can probably do
Of
that.
course she will eat it because she's very good at eating wasabi.
But with pizza though,
Oof.
is that like a thing?
Oof. It's never a thing. No, but it's a challenge.
I think someone somewhere made wasabi pizza. We just don't know it yet.
In Japan.
Probably somebody somewhere did it. So let's see. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about you and your background. I think this is something that we hadn't talking about before so much, maybe very briefly, but comparatively speaking, your accent when you speak English is like really neutral. So for the most part, like if I was talking to on the phone and I had to guess, I say maybe she's from the U.S., like in California or something like that. But most people don't actually speak English like that here. So what is it about you that gave you that distinction? And actually, some also speaks really good English as well. But some you can hear that accent. You can hear like, okay, this guy's definitely not from an native English speaking country or anything like that, because you can hear it. But he also speaks really well. But what is it about you? What did you do? How did you manage to neutralize your accent so
I've
much?
been asked this kind of question for like so many times.
So you must have a perfect answer ready. I hope.
Yeah.
It's rehearsed.
Yeah, but it's separate from different parts.
Okay.
First part is that I grew up and I'm a big fan to Western culture, and also I was really good in English. I was one of the top student in when it comes to English tests, because I love my English teacher. Not just that, and I watch a lot of shows, like American shows. Always a big fan to it. And so, most importantly, I like to practicing English in front of mirror by myself. Like I was one of the role in the show. Like especially
like a character in the.
yeah, like at the very start, it was Vampire Diary.
Yeah.
Also, where my name was coming from, because I loved the Caroline in that show, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna name myself because I want to be pretty like her.
Yeah. That
And
makes sense.
So I was like, so I was practicing the dialogues in Vampire Diary in front of mirror every time by myself, like you know, what did you do? Like
Drama.
like,
The
oh,
drama.
no. Like I was being sucked by the vampire on my neck. No. So that's why I want to be a VTuber, because I love acting. Well, and
so did you like Twilight growing up too?
yes,
Oh.
of course. Come on.
I hate Twilight. Your boy became Batman now. Check him out. He went back to being a vampire all over again.
And well, that's the base for me to speaking English. And then when I was studying 1 year in Spain, and I don't really speak good Spanish. And
But were you studying Spanish in Spain or English?
that's the good question.
You know, that's
I
a
was
tricky
studying.
one.
I was studying in Spanish,
Yeah.
but our classes was spoken in English.
That is weird.
And the most important part, because I didn't speak Spanish that well,
Mm.
and I really can't really communicate with people, so I can only speak English.
Mm.
And so that's the perfect stage for me to actually bring all the stuff that I have been speaking in front of
That makes
mirror
sense.
by myself
That makes
into
sense.
practice. with
Right,
people.
because you're learning a third language, but you're learning a third language using your second language as the communication tool,
Yeah.
right? So you're like translating between English to Spanish and practicing your English to learn Spanish.
Yeah,
And that's how you can actually develop it well, right?
But if now you're talking about it, that sounds a little bit weird, no?
It does sound weird, but you know, to make some clarification, because I think you really have to be part of like an international community in a foreign country to understand this concept. Because for most people, this doesn't make sense. So I give you an example. A lot of the people that come to China or anywhere, it could be Japan, it could be South Korea, it could be Brazil. It doesn't matter. But in this situation, we're in China. Let's say China. So if you go to China, most people are going to speak Chinese. Obviously, right? So it would stand to reason that you would learn Chinese, right? Wrong. Wrong. If you are, let's say, if you are from Mexico and you speak Spanish and maybe a little bit of English, if you come to China, it is very difficult for you to find other people who speak Spanish, but it is much easier to find people who speak English. And for you to transition from Spanish to English is a world easier than transitioning from Spanish to Chinese. And so what ends up happening is, as humans do, we try to get closer to other people that we are more similar to. And a person from Mexico who speaks Spanish is nothing like a British guy who speaks English, right? But you are closer in terms of language or culture, whatever, in some small ways than you are to Chinese language and Chinese culture.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is that instead of having pockets of different groups from different countries, they all become one big group. So they are, all the foreigners end up hanging out together. So whether they're from the US, Mexico, Japan, Korea sometimes, actually the East Asian foreigners end up hanging out with more East Asian foreigners, but Westerners tend to spend more time with Westerners. So Russians, Ukrainians, people from Western Europe, people from the Americas in general. And it is more likely that if you're from one of those countries that don't speak English as the first or native language, you will end up learning English here. And like a really good example of this is Clayton. You know how Clayton started?
In Ami?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and well, of course, Amelis. Oh, hey, Ame? Did you actually, Amelis? Did you actually say that in the video? Like you actually learned to speak English here? That's a really important detail. That's wild. So, Amelis, actually, she came from Cuba just speaking Spanish. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, only Spanish. And she learned to speak English here. Did you go to English class?
No.
No English class. No English school. She learned to speak English here. No English books, nothing. Because she was forced into a situation, in a way forced, she chose to be, but you know, outside of work, you're forced into the situation where, well, no one speaks Spanish, and the next closest thing I can get is English. So you gravitate to that. And yeah, that's why it sounds weird. Like, why do you go to China to learn English? Or why would you go to Spain to develop your English? Actually, yeah, because English is like the international language, the international second language for any country. Yeah, for any country. And so it just makes more sense. It works that way. So Clayton, which is very interesting, when I met Clayton for the first time, so Clayton's from Brazil. He only spoke Portuguese. Only Portuguese. And so I speak Spanish, and so we can make some connection there. Like, okay, I can understand some things. And it was rough, but we communicated. And then after a while, what ended up happening, he was learning to speak Spanish and English at the same time. Yeah. So he ended up speaking Spanish because Portuguese and Spanish are very similar. Definitely not the same, but they have a lot of similarities. So, and there were enough Spanish speakers during that time period that he was able to develop his Spanish and just modify the accent a bit, and okay, much easier to communicate. And then from there, with the Spanish speakers who were hanging out with the English speakers, developed his English as well. And it was just better and better and better as he went along. And then, after learning 2 foreign languages, he ended up learning Chinese. After Spanish and English. So yeah, I think it makes sense if you went to Spain and you learn English. So for the accent itself, what would you say was the most important thing or the most helpful thing for you to neutralize? Because that's one thing that a lot of folks always ask me. They're like, oh, how can I make my accent better? I'm like, I don't know. I grew up with this accent, you know?
I think I get involved too much with the character I saw on the show.
Oh, okay. You go deep. You're like,
Yeah.
I am this character.
Yeah, there's no specific reason how I can speak this accent. It just I'm trying to do the impression of the character in the show, of course. And when it comes to the speaking, you have to get involved with that too. So that's how I got the accent, because I was basically watching the American show most of the time. If I was watching some British show, I'd probably be speaking British accent right now,
Yeah, that makes sense.
or Spanish.
Yeah. I've met some local folks that speak with a British accent in English. I think it sounds funny, but it's like, yeah, okay. But that's why, as a stereotypical American mentality, we're very judgy about the British accent.
British
just like
people
it
do the same to you.
Yeah. Like, what's soccer? It's not soccer, it's football, man.
What is what?
Oh, goodness. There's Saj always makes this joke. Saj, you're from England and you're always cracking on the British accent. That's just weird. But
Like, we didn't even mention it, but you're just cracking it by yourself.
he's like, what about what? Like, there's T's in that word. There's T's in both of those words. Okay, so you would say basically emulating the characters, making those impressions and acting is really what helped you develop your accent and neutralize your accent.
Yeah.
But how about your community?
My community.
Your surroundings, your friends, like this?
In what way?
Well, because it seems to me like more times than not, you are with Westerners and you hang out with a lot of Western friends. And so that sort of like with Clayton, because he spent so much time around Spanish speakers, he was able to develop Spanish quickly. And then he spent more time around English speakers, he's able to develop his English. So do you feel like maybe their accents may have had an influence on your own accent?
That's a good question. I have been thinking about it. But I started to be surrounded by Westerner just like 1 or 2 years ago.
Oh,
But
okay.
before, I have been speaking like this
Yeah.
all the time. So I'm not sure, but it definitely helped a little bit. But I don't think that's the main reason.
Okay.
But I definitely learned a lot, like some correction on my accent or on my vocabulary. But it's not the main reason. Main reason is still how
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the one in the
Drama.
Yeah.
The drama, baby.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, and I asked that also because when I went to Shanghai for the first time, for example, I already lived here about 11 months. So it was about a year. It could be 11 months, maybe a little bit more. About a year. I went to Shanghai for the first time. And first of all, I found it really, really easy to understand everybody in Shanghai when they spoke Chinese Mandarin. So that was really cool. It definitely set the stage to say, hey, people in the South, they have a pretty tough accent actually compared to people in the North side or in Shanghai. And also another thing that I thought was interesting was when I spoke Chinese, I sometimes would get the comments in Shanghai, they're like, oh, your Chinese sounds so cute. And I was like, cute? Do I look like a toddler to you? Am I a joke to you? And they're like, no.
Don't you want to fight?
They're like, no, that's not what I mean. It's when you speak, you say things like, oh, 一点点, or 快一点, 这样. And I was like, isn't that how you say it? And they're like, no, you say 一点, 快点, 这样. And I was like, oh, right. So they're actually, we use the same words, but you end it on a different accent or on a different tone or something on the North versus the South. So I speak like a Southerner as far as China's concerned. I
Taiwanese.
speak like a Southerner. And when I go to Shanghai, they're like, okay, so this guy's a foreigner. Obviously, he's not Chinese, but he's speaking Chinese, but he's not speaking our Chinese. He's speaking South people's Chinese. What? It's like, yeah, I can see how that could be really confusing to somebody, like just from the face to the voice. And like once I put those two and two together, it's like, oh, okay. So if I had like standard Beijing dialect, no, not Beijing dialect, but standard Chinese, more Beijing standard Chinese, not Beijing dialect, then it would be less surprising. But because I speak very street and easy with my Chinese, like a Southerner, it was like, oh, that's weird.
But it actually can be one of the surprising factor of yours. when you get to the point when you start speaking Chinese and you just surprise people.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so cute.
Oh, I noticed like actually over time, less and less people are surprised when I speak Chinese. But I remember like a couple of years ago, if I said a single word, they're like, "Whoa, your Chinese is so good, bro." I'm like, not really, but thank you. That's very sweet. Okay. That's actually funny. We do make a joke about this when you be like, "Oh, 你好." They're like, 我操,你的中文那么好啊,很棒哎. And they're like, I just said 你好. It's not that serious. But you know, sometimes people will get carried away, especially on the phone. So if we ordered like a delivery or something, right, and they call you on the phone, and you go, "Wait," and they're, "Oh, wait," and they just go on a rant. Hey, so listen, it's gonna be like 15 more minutes because and it's like, bro, hey, I don't speak that much Chinese. Take it easy, right? And if you're like in a restaurant or something, and they're like, "Oh, do you speak Chinese?" and you're like, "Oh, 我会说一点." They just go. They go like a Tesla on full acceleration, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. And like, yeah, I don't speak that much Chinese. Take it easy. I mean, now it's much easier for me, but the thing is, like, sometimes people get so excited. They're like, "Oh man, this foreigner actually speaks Chinese," and then they're like, "Oh, you don't really speak Chinese. You just some simple stuff." I got you.
Because we got some foreign looking but Chinese
Mm-hmm.
who was born in China.
Oh, yeah.
So actually we have a lot, so
Yeah.
people might be confused.
That's
Once you
super
start
confusing.
speaking in Chinese, people just assume that you're one of us.
Mm-hmm.
So they will.
That's a sweet feeling. That's nice. It wasn't that nice in 2020, but I will digress. Okay, so that will be our day. That's our intro of Karo. She will definitely be featured in our future videos, so keep an eye out for that. Thank you very much. We will see you next time. Tell him, Melania. Give him the line.
See you next time.
No, the Melania line.
Oh. I've never known defeat.
Okay. Peace. My name is Melania.
And I have never known defeat.
好。